People of Bhopal, capital town of the Indian state Madhya Pradesh, were sleeping through a cold intervening night on 2nd and 3rd December 1984. Nothing was out of ordinary and the night seemed like any other silent, shivering winter night of the region. But that was only superficial. Somewhere in the eastern part of the city, something nightmarish happened inside a pesticide plant of the Union Carbide India Limited, or known as UCIL. An industrial disaster of incomparable magnitude was about to occur. The Union Carbide India Limited UCIL plant was established in 1969. 51% was owned by Union Carbide Corporation (UCC) and 49% by Indian authorities. The factory used to produce a pesticide which UCIL had branded as Surveying. A chemical called methyl isocyanate (MIC) was used for producing this pesticide. The factory stored a large amount of MIC inside its premises.
On December 2, 1984, it was a routine day at the UCIL factory in Bhopal. MIC was stored in an underground tank. The pipeline washing started at 9:30 p.m. as a routine maintenance operation. Between 10:30 to 11 p.m., workers engaged in the pipeline washing became aware of a leak. Little attention was, however, paid considering as a normal leak, a casual attempt was made to trace the sources of the leakage, but of no use. The leak continued. Around 12:15, the pressure in the MIC tank rocketed up to 55 pounds per square inch. Water had begun to leak into tank E610 containing 42 tons of MIC. The resulting exothermic reaction increased the temperature inside the tank to over 200 degrees Celsius. An operator saw that the concrete of the tank was cracking. About 12:30 a.m., the release valve of the tank gave away and a large quantity of MIC gas leaked into the atmosphere. The workers at the factory realized the risk of the massive disaster. They tried to activate the safety system available at the factory at about 12:30. There were three safety systems. First was the vent gas scrubber, which was considered the main line of defense. It was found not in an operational condition. Then the worker tried turning on the flare tower to burn toxic gases. This system was not in working condition as the pipeline leading to the tower had been removed for maintenance. The worker then tried transfer the MIC from the tank into a nearby spare tank. The gauge of the spare tank indicates that the tank already contained something. After failure in all three systems, the worker attempted to douse the leaking gas with water spray. The water spray reached a height of 100 feet from the ground, while the leak was at 120 feet above the ground.
Thousands of people living around the plant were awakened by the suffocating burning effects of the gas. As on the three sides, the UCIL plant was surrounded by the slum and other poor settlements. The people in these colonies were the worst sufferers. There was no guidance or warning to the general public around this time. There were two types of alarm in the factory. One mild siren for the workers and one loud public siren. The public siren was started only at about 2:30 a.m. Since the gas leaked out from 30-meter chimney, it was not too high enough for the people to escape the effects. It was not long before the entire city was enveloped by an invisible but extremely toxic gas. People of Bhopal began to feel the effect of toxin. People who were causally lying inside the bed a few minutes ago, they now begin to feel suffocation, cough, burning eyes and vomiting. Streets became crowded with people running here and there for help. The chaos went on throughout the night, the local hospital were soon overwhelmed with the injured. The crisis further compounded by a lack of knowledge of exactly what gas was involved and what is the effect. Within hours, the streets of Bhopal were littered with human corpses and the carcasses of buffalo, cows, dogs, and birds. About 3,000 people died immediately on the night, and another 6,000 died in the next 1 week. Yet another 2,000 people died over a longer period of time due to effect of the poisonous gas. Still, about 500,000 people were directly or indirectly affected, with the 38,000 temporary partial and roughly 3,900 permanently disabling injuries.
So my name is Randall. I will explain about the Capit factory incidents. Investigation into the strategy shows that there were many shortcomings at all levels. The Unite camping factories did not have much information about the safe storage of these highly toxic gases. The medical fraternity did not have the requirements to know how to deal with such kind of contamination and at this scale. There was a lack of coordination between the factories and emergency service. There were not many trained professionals in the factories. Cost cutting had also the impact of the safety of the plant, the employees and the people living around the plant. The plant was also a designated population area for the city which against most known norms. There have been several theories on the reason for the entry of water into the tank. The workers claim that because of the bad maintenance while leaking valve, it was possible for the water to climb from the point where the pipeline washing was performed to the tank, while UCC says that there was no possible, and that it was an act of sabotage by the struggle workers who introduced water directly into the tank. Although there have never been proof of this, the two most important factors leading to the mega gas leak was plant design and the economic pressure and cutting back on.
There were early warning signs of trouble ahead, signs that may have been ignored. On the December 25, 1981, a leak of poison killed one worker, Ashraf Khan, at the plant and severely injured two others. On January 9, 1982, 25 workers were hospitalized as a result of another leak at the plant. During the safety week proposed by management to address worker grievance about the Bhopal facility, repeat incidents of such toxic leakage took place and worked to opportunity to complain directly to the American management officials. In the wake of these incidents, workers at the plant demand hazardous duty pay scales commensurate with the fact that they were required to handle hazardous substances. These requests were denied as a result in the lead to worst industrial disaster of all time. On December 1984, Warren Edison, the CEO of Union Carbide, was arrested in Bhopal but later released on a bail. In December 1987, the Central Bureau of the Investigation filed a charge sheet against Anderson and other accused. In 2003, the Ministry of External Affairs sent a request to United States of Anderson's extradition. However, these further requests were turned down. In June 2010, 7 ex-employees, including the former UCIL chairman, were convicted in the Bhopal of causing death by negligence and, and sentenced to 2 years in prison and a fine about 2,000 each. An ex-former employee was also convicted, but that before judgment was passed. A compensation of nearly $470 million was paid by the Union Carbide to the government of India, but legal delays, including the identifying the victims, slowed the payout rate to a crowd.
The only memorial ever built in Bhopal was privately funded, designed by the daughter of the Holocaust victim. So in the block letter, the inscription read, "No Hiroshima, no Bhopal, we want to live." So many years down of the road after the Bhopal disaster in 1984, some basic clean-out effort has been taken place, but a lot of the contamination is still there. So the local people have to live with the environmental pollution every single day. So more than 100,000 people are still suffering from the debilitation effect of the gas, which include the respiratory problem, cancer, contamination, birth defect, blindness, and other disease. So every year since then, more are still dying in the Bhopal from the virus after the effect. So it has been resulted in many children being born with the genetic defect and mutation and mental retardation. So it has also had a long-term impact on the reproductive cycle of the affected women and the quality of their breast milk. So besides the effect of on pupil, according to the environmentalists, so the impact it has been on the environmental of the area also for foraging. So there are still hundreds of tons of the toxic waste alone, which could lead to a continuous poisoning of the soil as well as the groundwater. Some area around the factory are still uh, so polluted that someone entering the area is likely to close the congestion in less than in 10 minutes.